attention now. I know it's hard to stop talking once you've started. Well, hop up here. Okay, I'd like everyone's attention now. We're going, Mariam right here has a green Life on Land SDG 15 cube. Where is the cube going? Who's reporting back? Uh-oh, I think it's the group. Is that group ready to report back? Okay, I'd like to direct everyone's attention over here. I don't know if they're ready. They have SDG green cube over here. If they're not ready, we can pass it to someone else.
Oh, okay.
They're ready.
Yes,
okay.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to quiet everyone down and direct your attention to this side of the room. They're going to be reporting back. Please state your question and then what your group came up with.
Thank you. My name is Godrich Mpanwa from Zimbabwe.
You're going to have to speak a little louder.
My name is Godrich Mpanwa from Zimbabwe. We had a very interesting question here. The question is, do we really need more land to feed the people globally? The first point that came around is the issue of land is a sovereign decision, which means it has to be specific to each country. The second answer is the local consumption is usually very important, and we need to consider issues where there is excess and also areas where there is less. We also brought into question the diversity of food habits. Diet is a critical component in our consideration. There was one point that was raised from one of our presenters, where she talked about most of the food being produced going to waste. So food waste and loss should be reduced.
Who wants to speak?
The other point that we also threw in was food production systems vary around the world. We're proposing that restoring land degradation, restore degraded land so that we have more land for agriculture instead of increasing the unit area. Can I read this one? Regenerative agriculture can restore land productivity. And lastly, there is a challenge to increase productivity per hectare for sustainable, through sustainable intensification. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the green box has moved over to this side of the room. There was a group that was very excited to speak. So we are going to hand over the microphone. Please state your question and then your response.
We had a wonderful group of academia, civil society, and people from the government. And I became a chairperson without any struggle. It was dominated by women, and one of them became a secretary. Our question was, how can non-state actors play an active role in bringing about desired results in land degradation neutrality? We had a few minutes to find out who are the actors, non-state actors. We took into account the academia, civil society-based organization, non-government organizations, and others. And we realized that normally they are very influential if they are really to make active role in bringing about the desired results. They have to build up trust between the government and themselves, because in some cases they are being mistrusted. But also they have data, if the academia and the government always are suspicious of the data, but we thought the non-actors can be of great importance in working with the communities because they are grassroots. They can bring about the information. There is a need to focus on individuals in this undertaking, tap into local knowledge and learn from them in informing them to work with the NGOs and the government. They can play a good role because in some cases, even development partners trust the non-actors than the governments. So they can, if they use the funds efficiently, they can play a very good role in combating, in bringing about land degradation neutrality. Start from policy, need to raise awareness of existing practices like GIZ, two-ways communication is very, very important. They need to listen to what the government has and identify weaknesses, but also they can put their voice. In some countries, non-actors have even a forum. They have become recognized besides development partners, government, private sector, the non-state actors now are they play a role, and they are always given a slot to give their views so they can assert themselves and mobilize and link up between the government community, government and the communities. Extend government response to non-actor civil society is part of transparency, equals trust, needs to be translated into action and work where the money is, where the money is the action. I think finally, decisions are not taken, decisions are taken on facts, and the different actors have to work together. We need coordination. We should recognize there's need. They need to be coordinated. You know, they are of different walks of life. Some are academia, others are civil society. If they have a forum, it becomes easier for them to create influence. Thank you very much. But I have members, they can add on what I'm missing.
Thank you. We are very close to running out of time, but we're going to squeeze in one last brief statement. The box has moved over to this group, and everyone will get a chance to contribute to this harvest of knowledge by bringing, one person from each group will bring your notes back to me on those whiteboards, okay?
Thank you. I am Dr. Ranjay Kumar Singh, and we had a group of 6 members who are from different sectors, starting from university, science, and government sectors. And we had a question: how can scientists and policymakers support the development of good governance? After the exercise we have gone through, and we could develop some of the key indicators that must be taken into account for this question. The first key indicator we have developed, or the sector we have developed, is called transdisciplinary approach. Instead of individual, we are emphasizing transdisciplinary approach so that every concern is taken well. Second, there was an issue for this question that communication is a challenge. So the second indicator for this question is communication is one of the biggest issue which has to be taken very seriously to connect different sectors and to connect the science and policy and even to the civil society. Third is, instead of seeing one component, we have to take several dimensions together, and that is system approach, we call it. So third was is the, as an indicator, system approach. Fourth, we have observed that there is a lack of coordination and there is a missing points between different sectors. So the sectorial issue is one of the area where we have to focus, and for that we need interlinkages. So the fifth dimension we could cover as a time and resources are very precious, that has to be taken well care of. Sixth is the knowledge diversity. There are different typology of knowledge available in society that has to be well interconnected, that has to be mainstreamed with science and policy so that the reliance of government or civil society, vice versa, can be minimized so that your governance becomes so much effective. And the last point is resilience. Everything is if well connected, interconnected, rationalized very effectively, ultimately we are going to meet the challenges of resilience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we had two groups that would really like to make a very brief statement before we end. So I've been allowed to be able to do that. So we are going to pass to this group here. Here's the green box.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Oindrila Basu from International Forestry Students Association, and we were having a discussion on the how do we build partnerships, notably through networks, and strengthen the role of CSOs as drivers of change in environmental governance, transformative action. So our group was quite women, kind of women-dominated, yeah, and mostly students. And what we felt was we have been attending the different events of CSOs throughout UNCCD, and what we felt, three main points that we require. One is recognition, two, capacity building, and three, funding through the networks. Recognition of the CSOs by the different partners, the local, national, and global level CSOs, and their knowledge base by the different governmental and intergovernmental agencies as well as private players. Their work needs to be recognized, and then their capacity should be built by different capacity building activities and funding to be provided to them so that they can actually take their vision into action. That is our brief statement, and we have actually written in detail, so if any further clarification is required, we have our notes, it will be stuck there. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a statement over here.
Thank you. Kaganz Emmanuel is my name, from Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Uganda. Our question was, how can urban dwellers modify consumption patterns so as to enhance rural sustainable land use? We are well aware that urban areas are areas of consumption and the production is normally in rural areas. However, we need to modify the consumption of urban patterns by promotion and use of sustainable energy, that is promoting green energy. We need to encourage urban gardening, that is backyard farming. We also need to sensitize and create awareness in the consumption patterns of the urban dwellers in order to be mindful of where they are coming, and going. Also, we have a policy shift has to be encouraged, has to be taken care of, whereby there should be a promotion of recycling. There is also rewards to the producing farms from sustainable areas and measures consumption of produce from areas with less footprint should also be encouraged, as well as we should minimize the urban sprawl that encroach on what would be otherwise the producing areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we just had a quick discussion that everyone is really enjoying themselves and would really like to speak. Our time has now been extended for that, which is really great news. So the box is moving again. And just while the box is moving, can I ask everyone to be aware that with the camera we are live and to duck under the camera if you're walking past here. Thank you.
Hi. Can you hear me? Okay. So my name is Rachel Kasi. I'm here representing UNEP from the Science Division. And our group had to discuss, which I would like to say we also had a lot of students, and we were also woman dominant. So our question was, do we need more land to produce enough food by 2030? And our group decided overall no, but there are certain things that we will need to do to ensure that stays a no. We'll need to convert unproductive and undegraded land into productive lands. We'll need to use agroforestry systems and reduce burden on land by exploiting other resources of food production, including oceans, rivers, wetlands, and then use of science and technology for increasing productivity. Sorry, we had a couple pages. Emphasis on SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, which would include reducing food waste, so some overlap with what the group said earlier. And then give emphasis on IEC, information, education, and communication. Urban development with use of green areas. And then enabling policies at regional levels, including individuals to help convert the desert land by enabling policies and industries. Oh, yeah, including industries in these enabling policies. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, the box has moved over here, and I want to make a brief show. If you are under 30 years old, please stand up. If you are under 30 years old, please stand up. I'm not. All right. So we're going to be asking all of you that are under 30, because youth is so important to this next generation, to be contributing toward the end of the day. So I'm just putting you all on the spot and putting you all on notice. Okay, the box is here.
Yeah, the question was, how could the assessment of the multiple benefits of sustainable land management guide innovation in agriculture? We were 4 people from Georgia, India, and Italy. Ecosystem valuation and agrobiodiversity benefits are to be included to mobilize larger investments in sustainable land management. And it's important how sustainable land management best practices are communicated to smallholders, and in this way, ICT can contribute. Smaller marginal farmers need to have enhanced income to absorb innovation in agriculture, and the outreach of farmers should be in local language. And for this reason, again, mobile-based applications are important for quick penetration. The digitalization of farming systems is an opportunity then for site-specific assessment of multiple benefits of sustainable land management, and to provide a knowledge basis for innovation brought to the last mile. For instance, in improving the number, enhancing the number of species used in agriculture, for instance, for grassland improvement. The multiple benefits of sustainable land management can be achieved taking into account the different aspects of biodiversity and related ecosystem services and involving expertise in different fields. Thank you.
I think we're back. Okay, green box has moved over here.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm taking the floor because I'm the younger. I'm just 30 years old. So we had also a very good group, small group, but very good, from a diverse origin, from financing mechanism, from government, from NGOs, and from academia. We had also a very easy question. Can LDN be achieved by middle of the century, or is our time up? So we focus on 4 points. For the sake of time, I will focus on 4 points. We reinterpret the question by focusing on how to speed up and accelerate time, meaning that we need more dialogue between the different stakeholders, and we need to find the right platform for that at national and local level. Number 2, we discuss about funding. Personally, I'm from the GEF, and you know that there is a window for land degradation, including LDN. But for other financing mechanism, LDN is not well identified or even not well known. So there is a need for awareness and to explain the concept. We had different opinion about if LDN is well known, can we still use a kind of acronym and the difficult translation in different language? For some people, the notion of landscape restoration is easier to understand and easier to use. And last but not least, landscape restoration should not be reduced to biophysical problems, but it's also a question of, it's a choice of society and a choice for people, meaning at one point we need to choose the model of society we want to live between, for instance, the development of commodities or agroecology. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We had a very diverse group from various continents, and we had very lively discussion on the question, how can urban dwellers modify consumption patterns so as to enhance rural sustainable land use practices? And it was such a joy to hear that our colleagues, they worked on a similar question, and we have, to a certain extent, similar solutions. And that is good because we have some similar thoughts from different areas. So that's why we hope it will work. So our group came up with following solutions. We started with the question, what are the consumption patterns to start with? And do people in the cities understand what is their impact on the rural population? And our suggestion is to raise awareness among the urban population, and in this case also involve possibly younger people who don't understand what does it mean to open the water tap? How does it affect people in the rural areas? People very often don't understand that by every gadget which they charge, they're using the resources, and this also contributes to the land degradation. So this is maybe something to take up to the colleagues who were doing the presentation on the media and how media can be involved, because this impact what city dwellers have on the urban population and their consumption link, this can be made more prominent in the discussion, and people should be made aware. Second solution which we have, it was about introducing, to reduce consumption, consumption of the food in urban areas through production of the food in the urban areas as well. So we are talking here about the urban agriculture. But in this case, we also need to be very mindful about the balance between urban city dwellers and the rural city dwellers. So, urban city dwellers and rural areas. So the balance about the food chain supply should be there. Even if we start developing the food production in the cities, it should be balanced so the rural population is not affected in the long run. But certainly resource depletion can be addressed through the urban agriculture. We also think that the organic agriculture should be encouraged more, but the problem in the cities and consumption in the cities is that we pay premium prices for the organic food, and that makes it prohibitive for the city dwellers to jump onto this trend. And that's why one of the suggestions of the group is to introduce subsidies and also to make the organic food more affordable for the city dwellers, so we can address this urban and city nexus. And last point, which